and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to rob him and killed the dude. What the hell my 19-year-old cousin gonna try to rob and kill somebody? Bro, we getting money, man. We getting money. That ain't our stilo. Man,
Boosie is facing intense scrutiny, with the streets turning against him amid ugly rumors. Whispers suggest he may have orchestrated the events that led to the death of Juke the jeweler. As a result, Boosie is now effectively blacklisted from the very neighborhood he once dominated. After already being confronted once, sources warn that if he shows his face again, the consequences could be severe. This suspicion is amplified by Boosie's long-rumored ties to a mob-affiliated crew. Juke's death was no random act. It occurred during a notorious dice game, the same setting where another life was previously lost. The central question now circulating is whether Boosie truly masterminded Juke's killing or if he's being set up as a scapegoat in a larger, more complex situation. Juke's death sent shockwaves through the community because it bore the unmistakable marks of a professional hit. To understand how things reached this point, we must look back. That night, Juke was rolling dice among people he believed were friends, but rumors now claim some of those same individuals may have been betraying him all along.
Got three right, who rotate the dice. Now these dice is loaded. Tell me it's a Wolf, Big Caprice, and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators, right? He said, what? There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler around and got past the dice on accident and was hitting on them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was however their money back. He said, but
when Duke left Chicago for Houston, it wasn't for a vacation or a casual trip. It was a serious business expedition. The man who facilitated his arrival was none other than Boosie, who had requested a meeting to discuss custom jewelry designs. Duke arrived prepared, carrying a duffel bag filled with over $1 million worth of his most exquisite pieces. He believed he was stepping into a professional negotiation, completely unaware that this journey would be his final one. The contents of that valuable bag would later resurface under highly suspicious circumstances. But the true turning point was the infamous dice game. This was no friendly gambling session. It was a meticulously planned setup. Whack 100, a figure with considerable street credibility, later confirmed the widespread rumors. He stated plainly, if you ever get invited to a dice game in Houston, especially one run by Jay Prince, you better run. The odds of leaving unscathed or even alive are almost zero. Duke had walked directly into a lethal trap. Whack further detailed the game's corrupt mechanics. The dice used are rigged, ensuring only the house and its crew emerge victorious. It is essentially a sophisticated robbery disguised as a game. That night, however, Duke was accidentally handed the wrong dice. He began an unstoppable winning streak, piling up cash and breaking the system. In a fateful display of triumph, he pulled out his phone, recording himself laughing, tossing money, and flaunting his success. While the clips initially seemed like a man celebrating a lucky streak, a closer look after the fact revealed a chilling background, exchanged side glances, hurried whispers, and hand gestures that were anything but playful. The celebration was, in reality, his final performance.
So the next day, dude hit my partner like, man, y'all got the concert, let us trail y'all, woo-de-woo. So dude went with us to the concert, and after I come off stage, everybody leaving. You know, we parked under the parking lot, under the arena where the celebrities parking and all that shit. He was in another car. He walked to his car. His car was outside the arena under where we was. It was on side the parking lot, so he had to walk to his car.
And here's the devastating twist. It is alleged that J. Prince collects a significant percentage from every dice game night. So, when Duke began winning relentlessly and dismantling their rigged system, he wasn't just bruising egos, he was directly disrupting a calculated cash flow. The situation grew even more suspicious upon reviewing the very clips Duke filmed in his moment of triumph. Footage that initially showed celebration, upon a second look, reveals a chilling sequence. Watch closely, Boosie is seen leaning back, signaling almost imperceptibly to his nephew across the table. The energy in the room instantly shifts. His nephew's focus sharpens, another man taps him on the shoulder, and the playful vibe curdles into something tense and dangerous. One moment, Duke is laughing and stacking money. The next, the entire room feels icy. This tension escalated to straight peril minutes after the game ended. Duke headed to his car alone, no entourage, no bodyguards carrying a duffel bag stuffed with millions in jewelry and cash through a dimly lit Houston parking lot. He was hyped from winning, skipping to his ride, and then gunfire erupted. Critical questions arise from this scenario. Why would Boosie bring an out-of-town guest carrying millions in valuables without arranging any security? Furthermore, why didn't Prince JRB, who was managing a game involving that kind of money, ensure his guests could leave safely? It was a recklessly orchestrated situation. The real shocker, however, came when the police arrived. Initial reports suggested an ambush by robbers. But when officers found Duke, he was lying in a pool of blood, still wearing his flashy, expensive chains, the very ones he had flaunted earlier. This defies all logic. What kind of robber shoots a man, but leaves the most valuable items on his body untouched? The mind-blowing conclusion came when the duffel bag containing all of his unreleased million-dollar designs, which had vanished from the scene, later resurfaced in Boosie's own possession. This revelation has rightfully sent the internet into a frenzy.
Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up, man. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage, dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to rob him and killed the dude. What the hell my 19-year-old cousin gonna try to rob and kill somebody? Bro, we getting money, man. We getting money. That ain't our stilo. As a boss, I ain't letting that go down like that, man. This dude finna make me a piece. So y'all need to kill that. That's bad low, man. Don't put us in nothing with no bad low. It's bad low, man. This bad low, man. Straight up, this shit bad low. Kill it.
The ground is crumbling beneath Boosie's feet. Once a respected figure in his circle, he is now under intense scrutiny, watching as allies distance themselves and the community he once called home turns its back. The word on the street is grim and unequivocal. Whispers allege he was the architect of the plot that led to the murder of Duke the Jeweler. This accusation has effectively made him a pariah, banned from the very neighborhoods he once influenced. After a tense, direct confrontation, the message was clear. Should he show his face again, the consequences are predicted to be severe and potentially fatal. This suspicion is magnified by Boosie's long-rumored affiliations with the Mob T.I.'s crew. The context of Duke's death is also critically damning. It didn't occur on a random evening, but during one of those notoriously high-stakes dice games, the same environment where another life was famously lost. This has ignited a furious debate. Is Boosie the cold-blooded mastermind who set Duke up, or is he merely a convenient scapegoat in a much larger, more sinister plot? Duke's death sent shockwaves precisely because it lacked any semblance of randomness. It was executed with a chilling, unmistakable precision that pointed to a professional hit. To understand the betrayal, we must rewind. Duke, a self-made hustler who built a glittering jewelry empire from the ground up with no shortcuts, was at the peak of his influence. He was the go-to designer for both rising rap stars and A-list clients, known for his integrity and spectacular craftsmanship. His trip from Chicago to Houston was strictly business, initiated by an invitation from Boosie himself to discuss custom designs. Trusting the connection, Duke arrived with a duffel bag containing over $1 million worth of his finest pieces, believing he was walking into a professional meeting. He had no idea it was a death sentence, and that the very bag he carried would later become a central piece of damning evidence. The fateful dice game was the turning point. This was not a night of friendly gambling. Multiple sources, including the credible street figure Whack 100, have since confirmed it was a sophisticated setup. Whack 100 famously warned that an invitation to a Houston dice game, particularly one associated with Jay Prince, carries a near zero chance of leaving unscathed or even alive. Duke, however, began to win big. He filmed his streak, laughing and stacking cash, oblivious to the danger. In footage reviewed after the fact, viewers noticed subtle cues he missed. Boosie signaling his nephew across the table, a shift in the room's energy from playful to icy, and hushed exchanges that looked anything but casual. The celebration was a facade masking a looming threat. Minutes after the game concluded, Duke walked alone to his car in a dimly lit parking lot, carrying his fortune in cash and jewelry without a single security detail, a baffling oversight for someone in Boosie's position to allow. Then, gunshots erupted. The crime scene immediately raised red flags. When police arrived, Duke lay in a pool of blood, yet his expensive, flashy chains remained on his body. This defied all logic. What kind of robber executes a man, but leaves the most valuable assets behind? The ultimate shock came when the duffel bag of unique, million-dollar designs, which had vanished from the scene, was later discovered in Boosie's own possession. As the situation spiraled, Boosie's attempts to control the narrative failed spectacularly. His live streams and interviews, meant to project innocence, had the opposite effect. A pale complexion, shaky voice, and erratic, contradictory explanations made him appear cornered and guilty. Online sleuths dissected his every move, suggesting he had meticulously tracked Duke's whereabouts before and after the game. The formal investigation quickly intensified. Federal authorities, already monitoring Boosie for unrelated firearm charges, opened a new probe into Duke's murder. They traced Duke's last phone pings to Boosie's studio, and forensic analysis of Duke's rental car revealed fingerprints belonging to Boosie's cousin and nephew. Eyewitness accounts described Boosie's nephew ambushing Duke just before the shots were fired. The motive became clear. This was not a robbery, but a punitive execution for disrupting their rigged financial system. The net continued to tighten. Federal agents began tracing suspicious financial transactions, uncovering large, unexplained deposits into Boosie's accounts made shortly after Duke's death. Evidence from encrypted group chats and deleted messages painted a picture of a premeditated plan to lure and target Duke at the dice game. The court of public opinion rendered a swift verdict. Videos of Boosie laughing about the incident were recontextualized as callous and guilty. His partnerships dissolved, brand collaborations were put on ice, and his credibility evaporated. A tense, evasive interview with DJ Vlad only cemented the perception of a man trapped in his own lies. Now, Boosie is in hiding, sunglasses on, navigating a world that has suddenly turned hostile. The walls are closing in from all directions: social media outrage, street-level threats, and an unrelenting federal investigation. The pressing question is no longer about his guilt in the court of public opinion, but how long he can evade the inevitable collapse of his entire house of cards. The pressure is mounting by the hour, and the next chapter of this saga promises to be even more explosive.